Sarukian versus Dan Hooker took place this past Saturday. And in today's video, I will be going through the entire card, reacting to the events that took place, counting up my amazing record for this week's predictions on this card, and talking about what probably was the best Fight Night card of the year and one of the best UFC Fight Nights we've had in a long time. There was a lot of good fights on here. There was a couple of stinkers or two, but overall, a good amount of finishes. A lot of things that matter actually to the sport and into the cycle and rankings of what's going to happen next for champions and such. And we're going to get into all of that in today's video. So let's start here right at the bottom with Merrick Buljo taking on Denzel Freeman. Denzel Freeman winning this fight by unanimous decision. I'm going to skip over this fight quite a bit. This was quite literally a sparring match. It was a very pitiful heavyweight matchup between both of these guys. I'd say cut them both, but Freeman just landed a few more strikes here and there. Buljo got a little bit of grappling done in the third round, but Freeman was just more of the athletic guy, was more versatile somewhat, but both guys looked pretty awful. That's really all I got to say about this fight. It was actually quite disgusting to watch, in my opinion. But I did get my pick right, 1-0. Moving on to Nurilo Aliev. He defeated the Shem Show. Is the Shem Show over? The Shem Show, Shamrock. This was a really good fight, and I honestly feel like I predicted this perfectly, except for the fact that Nurilo used his striking majority of this fight. He was just able to be, how do I put this? Because Shem was like the better striker, technicality-wise. You can tell that. But he put Shem on his back foot the entire time. Shem was just moving straight backward. He wasn't really looking to try to cut off on the outside, move more horizontally. Nurilo was able to put him on the back foot the entire time, most likely probably with the threat of the takedowns. He was able to get in close and land some pretty hard and solid strikes. He's a pretty quick guy on the feet, quick hands. Maybe not the best technically, but man, he can put damage on an opponent and put a pace on a guy, especially in those first two rounds. But I scored that last round for Shamrock, and it kind of played out exactly how I predicted it. Nurilo would get the best of it in those first two rounds with his pressure, physicality, and strength. However, Shem, after Nurilo seemed to wear a little bit in that third round, was able to do a little more damage, get off some better strikes. And honestly, he didn't look bad in the grappling department either. I wouldn't have mind seeing him use his offensive grappling some more. But it was a really tough debut for the Shem Show. Nurilo Aliev is a very good prospect in the lightweight division. I'd say Shamrock is as well. I think these are two future top 15 guys in my opinion. But it was a good fight overall, decent scrap. Nurilo Aliev gets it done, 29-28. I believe that's what they scored it as well. That was more my opinion, but I do believe they scored it 29-28. That's 2-0 on my picks. Moving on to Ismail Nurediev taking on Ryan Loder with a highlight real KO for Ismail Nurediev. Loder he looks so uncomfortable on the feet for a professional MMA fighter. It's quite sad, actually. If you're beating Robin Valentine barely to win the Ultimate Fighter and to get into the UFC, that's exactly why I picked against him. I thought Nurediev would be way more comfortable on the feet, way more explosive and fast, more options and strikes to attack with on the feet as well. That was my prediction. It didn't take long, though. It was a minute 26 for this fight to get over and done with. He absolutely starches Ryan Loder. He is not UFC caliber, in my opinion. Ismail Nurediev, he's a decent middleweight guy. Brings up that lighter man skill, coming from 170. But beautiful finish, crazy KO. It was one of those where I went, it takes that little breath out of you. Even though I kind of thought that would happen. Not necessarily that easily, though. But Nurediev, beautiful KO win. 3-0. 3-0. 3-0. Let's move on to Alexandre Topuria and Beksat Almakhan. I honestly scored all 3 rounds for Alexandre Topuria. I thought he looked really good. He's not his brother, obviously, his little brother. I thought he was the little brother. Ilya is actually the younger of the two. Beksat's a good fighter, though. And especially in that first round, he showed that he has levels in this game. But Alexandre, just like Ilya, is very calculated, calm in there, and just looks and picks and chooses his strikes. I wouldn't say he's as fast or as defensively responsible, especially regarding his footwork as Ilya. However, he's still a high-level, high IQ UFC fighter. Implemented a little more offensive wrestling than Ilya does for sure, and he looked good in that department. I thought he looked good this entire fight. He was managing the range well. The first round was a lot closer than the others. He dropped Beksat in the third round as well, and honestly, I would have liked to seen him finish it there. Doesn't have the same caliber as finishing instincts as his little brother Ilya does. Nevertheless, I think he's a very well-rounded fighter. And with how technical he is in the boxing department, if he can crisp up his footwork, get a little more fast on his toes, and move a little better, in combination with his solid head movement, not as good as Ilya's, but it's still really good, especially for MMA. He establishes the jab so beautifully. And honestly, I expected more of a fight out of Beksat. I kind of thought that first round was how the entire fight would go, but Alexandre was able to put him on the back foot majority of the time and land the harder strikes. I thought he looked really good. I'm not going to tell you he's going to be UFC Bantamweight champion, but I think he has top 15 potential written all over him. I think he's a really good high-level, high IQ fighter. So, again, I got my pick right. I think I predicted this one in a similar way, too. 29-28, 30-27 decision win for Alexandre. I just thought he was a more technical guy and would be able to use his physical presence to put Beksat on the back foot, and that's exactly what he did, guys. So what is that? 4-0 for Sinol MMA. 5-0 here. Not much to say here. 33 seconds time. Rafael Kakera once again is sleeped in the first round by Abdulrahman Yakiev. Yakiev looks pretty good. He's pretty athletic, powerful, explosive on the feet, but, you got to take that with a grain of salt, fighting a guy like Rafael Kakera, a low-level light heavyweight competitor in the UFC at the moment. Cutting, he's bad, not good at all. But, having that speed and technique on the feet is going to go a long way, I feel like, for a light heavyweight in Abdulrahman Yakiev. But we still probably need to see him against someone a little bit more decent who won't get knocked out as soon as a hard punch lands on their face. Nevertheless, great. Why did I say knockout? It was a club and sub. That's actually what I meant to talk about. Sorry, I got talking too fast and was making stuff up in my head. No, man, not only can he not take shots, but as soon as he was in a vulnerable position on the ground, he had no defense whatsoever. Accepted the loss as soon as he could. And Abdul, he'll probably have a solid grappling game as well. Friends with Shimaev. I think he's Chechnyan as well. Yeah, I want to see him against some more high-level competition before I say anything like he's a really in-deep prospect, but he does show the abilities that it takes to be a high-level competitor, especially for the light heavyweight division in the UFC at the moment. So, good performance. What is that? 5-0, 6-0, 4-0, 5-0, 6-0. Asu Almabiev clutches it up in the third round where I had him down 2-0 after those first two rounds, was able to sink in the guillotine, or was it a rear naked choke? Why can't I remember now? Oh my gosh. I feel like an idiot. Nevertheless, though, Alex Perez looked really good, and I thought Almabiev was going to dominate this fight and get a finish early, but Perez was getting the better of the scrambles, looked more calm and composed in those grappling exchanges, was able to put pressure on Almabiev and not allow him to get off too many strikes whatsoever or put together explosive combinations. Perez was on the outside. His entrances looked good, not only in the grappling area of the fight, but also to come in, rip to the body, rip to the head, mixed in some leg kicks in there. But Almabiev, man, clutched it up in the third round. And that's what I love to see. You're losing a fight, and you find a way to win. Find a way to put your opponent out and get him out of the octagon and get a win. And Almabiev was going to lose that fight even if he had won that last round. And just to see him weather that storm against a high-level vet, in all honesty, in Alex Perez in the flyweight division, gave me a lot of confidence in Asu Almabiev moving forward in the flyweight division. I've always thought the guy was pretty good. Recently lost to Manel Kopp, beat Jose Ochoa, now beating Alex Perez. Guys close to a title shot. Obviously not off this. With how flyweight is, it would probably take 2 more unless he gets a really high-level guy in his next one. But we do have Manel Kopp and Brandon Royval coming up. Maybe you do. Well, then we have also Tatsuro Taira and Brandon Moreno coming up. So it probably 2 wins away from a title shot. But the dude has all the skill to really be there in the mix up at the top of the flyweight division. And he's a pretty exciting fighter as well, I'd say. I love the flyweight division. One of top 3 division to watch in the UFC at the moment. But great win by Asulam Abiev. That's 6-0. My goodness, we started off hot. Now this is where we hit our first loss of the day. And honestly, I thought Sagid Izagamakiev won this fight. But for one, I'm not going to complain because I'm sick of these people. You know who I'm talking about. Islam's great, and I like him, but they're rats. They're rats, as Conor McGregor would say. Conor McGregor. Shout out Jesus, Conor. Let's go, dude. Yeah. Nicholas Dalby gets it done, though. Pretty uneventful fight. Weird game plan by Dalby, and also was very disappointed in his Gakhmiev's skill set. I for sure thought he would look light on the feet, explosive, composed, strong in the clinch, and while he did get the better of those clinch exchanges a lot of times, landing knees to the body, also getting his own takedowns and ground control, but Dalby was able to just push him against the fence. Majority of that fight was also able to scramble out of bad grappling positions. On the feet, Dalby kind of got the better a little bit. I don't know, maybe. It was a weird fight. I didn't like it. I thought it was really boring. I thought it was a weird performance by both guys. But shout out the old man, the Danish soy boy himself, Nicholas Dalby. I know he looks all tough, but he's a little soy boy. But good for him. He's a scrapper. Vet of the game. Crafty as it gets. With the... If you know, you know. But he was able to get it done. I really thought Sagid won. I didn't rewatch this fight. But while I was watching it, I thought he got it done. But that's okay. If I'm going to have a loss on the card, I'll take it being the Sagids of the world. That's cool with me. Dalby gets it done. That's 6-1. That's okay. That's just one loss. That's okay. Moving on to Luke Riley. Luke Riley, I'm an elite grappler, lad. Elite knockout artist. Man, after watching that first round, I got really nervous for Luke. But when they were in the corner after Bogdan, veins were just percolating out of his head. I was like, this dude is gassing, I'm pretty sure. Right? Bogdan was able to control the whole entire first round pretty much. Not much happened on the feet there. Bell rings out of the first round. Luke Riley comes out there and absolutely starches Bogdan. I love the finishing sequence too. How he weaved that hook. I can kind of see it in my head, but I'm doing a horrible job of explaining it. But he moved right out of range and seen Bogdan's shoulder drop and was able to come right over the top, right on the ear, and absolutely flatline Bogdan grad. Luke Riley at featherweight, he's a big featherweight too. I think he just continues to get some more experience under the belt, some more grappling defense. I mean, everybody, if you're not from the Caucasus region or just a really good wrestler, you gotta have the best grappling defense, especially us European-blooded people coming from America and from the Scouserland lad and down under in Australia. We gotta tighten up the hatches for the wrestling defense so we can get on the feet and scrap, lad. So we can get on the feet and scrap, yeah. Luke Riley, though, dude, I like this kid. I think he's a monster. I really do. I think the more experience he gets, just keep tightening down the hatches on a skill set. I think the guy can be a problem at featherweight. He's a big dude as well at featherweight. I already said that. Bogdan Grad's not a bad fighter at all either. Took Mohamed Naimov to the brink. And Naimov is not a bad featherweight at all. He's like top 25, top 20 featherweight. Like, he's borderline top 15 in some areas, just given his grappling skill set. And Luke Riley to go out there and absolutely starch Bogdan Grad in the second round, that's big. That's a highlight reel KO. Got the performance of the night bonus. Big deal for Next Gen MMA and the Scousers and Luke Riley. I'm very excited to watch this guy as he improves on his game and to see who they match him up with next. I don't really have anybody on the top of my head, but I think he's good. And as long as he can tighten down the hatches in the grappling department, he's a good grappler. I know he is. I've seen him fight, and he struggled in earlier rounds against pressure grapplers, especially more of that, which Bogdan's not like Caucasus region, but I've seen him against some of those type of guys. Bogdan's Austrian, I believe. Bogdangrad. He came out like Dracula as well. That was interesting. Nevertheless, though, big win for Luke Riley. Love to see it for the next gen MMA guys. And for England, it's for England, lad. With Scousers, it's Liverpool, Birmingham. I don't know exactly where that's at. I need to educate myself on the dichotomy of the UK diaspora. Anyways, what is that? 7-1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6-1, 7-1. And we move on to another one I lost, 7-2. And again, I will happily have this be one of my losses on the card. I was not expecting Kyoji Horiguchi to look this good back in the UFC. Looked so fast and quick on his feet. His scrambling in the grappling department and his top pressure, which I forget when you're short and stocky, a guy like Kyoji on top is hard to get off because you don't have much limb to grab and look to scramble or get under and regain position. And especially Tagir being a long, lanky Dagestani rat. Kyoji did a great job controlling him on the ground. Tagir wilted like a freaking wuss, dude. Oh my gosh, it was beautiful to see. Kyoji was just piecing him up on the feet as well, landing big, powerful strikes. I picked Tagir because of the Patchy Mix fight in Bellator with Kyoji, and I just thought Kyoji's a little old, hasn't fought in the UFC for a while. I'm going to take Olenbekov. And I thought Olenbekov would wilt in the last 2.5 minutes of the entire fight. But he wilted the entire time, was crying out there, was begging Islam to probably get in there and help him, dude. But nonetheless, Kyoji Horiguchi looking good. Top 15 flyweight immediately. Get him someone in the top 10. Let's see if we can get this guy to the top. He's a legend of the sport, really. If you know, you know. He really is. Exciting style. Japanese market. I want to be ninja. But I thought it was a great fight from Kyoji. Great to see him back in the octagon, getting a submission win over against a Dagestani. And Tagir's a high-level fighter. He wilts. He wilts. Western culture's built different, guys. No, I can't even say that after what they've been doing to us. 7-2 though, right? You think I could remember that's 4, 5, 6, 6-1, 7-1, 7-2, 8-2. Poor. Moment of silence for the blob. Okay. Rest in peace, Shamil Gaziev. He didn't die. He just got brutally KO'd by WCA Waldo Cortez Acosta. Sosa boy. Dude, taking the fight on 2 days' notice, getting pressured by the blob himself, Shamil Gaziev, the future double-weight champion. Not because he would be in 2 divisions, because he's just double the weight, because he's a blob. No. On all seriousness, Waldo Cortez Acosta is good, and he's right on that brink of elite in the heavyweight division. Sergey Pavlovich. How good is Sergey Pavlovich? I'd love to fight him. Waldo Cortez Acosta, though. Dude, go out. You're making money, gaining fans, gaining popularity. Dude, that's so cool. I'm a fan now. Taking that fight on 2 days' notice. Back-to-back knockouts of 2 pretty high-level heavyweights for this time in the UFC. Man, how he set him down with a jab, more like a shovel jab. He came from the hip. He moves his head very well for how big he is, but he's pretty athletic as well, quick as well. I'm pretty sure I nailed this prediction. I think I maybe said second round, but poor Blob. He just could not handle Sosa boy. But, dude, I like watching Waldo on the feet, especially against these Blob guys below, the top 5 of the division. He sleeps everyone. Very athletic, very entertaining fighter. What is that? Is that 8-2? Is that 8-2 on predictions? 3-0, 4-0, 5-0, 6-0, 6-1, 7-1, 7-2, 8-2, 9-2. The first human man to grace God's green earth, Mirtabak Orablai, discovered the wheel. Poor Jack Hermanson. I literally predicted, I thought it'd be grappling. I didn't know Mirtabak had the power of Ngannou. But the guy does. He looked friggin' phenomenal. Jack Hermanson, it's time to hang it up, bro. That cut from 170 after a brutal knockout loss to RoboCop, Gregory Rodriguez, Greg. And then cutting down 15 pounds to 170. You looked really thin. You didn't look great on the scale, in my opinion. If you're going to fight again, go fight somebody lower level at middleweight. Don't fight welterweight again. But Mirtabek Orablai. And Jack was honestly kind of doing his thing before that crazy freaking one-punch knockout. But I honestly think it's the weight cut is what got him. Mirtabek's been in some scraps, though, and has shown he can throw hands. But I like him at welterweight. I think he's going to be very interesting at welterweight. I'm excited to see who they match him up with next. The first human ever. Mirtabek Orablai. What is that, 8-2? My goodness. And 9-2? My goodness. No time. Volkan Ozdemir. Dude, he fought like he had a haircut appointment 15 minutes. 15 minutes away from when the fight started, dude. Immediately got on the gas, and backed down Alonzo Minifield up against the cage. And Minifield honestly caught him with a short little hook that if you rewatch that fight, you'll see that Volkan was like, oh no. But then he just backed him up and started throwing bombs, man. I love Volkan. I've always loved Ozdemir. I love how the dude fights. I think he's good for light heavyweight. I think he's great for the division. He's a staple of it. And went out there and beat a younger or athletic guy in Alonzo Minifield. And again, I said Minifield's not high level. Don't think he is. Think he breaks easily. Think that proves my point. Nevertheless, though, Volkan goes out there and gets his paycheck, gets a quick finish. And I love how he just frames guys up against the cage. And he does a really good job, I feel like, reading body movement, because you can tell kind of when like Minifield was opening, that's when Volkan would really decide to load up into his shots. But when he's covered, he goes more straight, looking to break around the guard or break through the guard, rip to the body a little bit. Fun fighter to watch. Volkan's a bad man, dude. Great performance. Happy to see him get a nice knockout win out there in Qatar. Moving on to the co-main event. What a performance. What a performance. I mean, I don't like either of these guys. I was honestly kind of rooting for Gary because I kind of want to see him in an Islam fight. I still do not like you, Ian Gary. Unless you want to do an interview or something. I don't know how that would happen. I have 20 subscribers. Nevertheless, so Ian Gary's a good fighter, man. I know a lot of people were saying you should have took a point from the eye poke. Look, if they would have, they would have. But that second one wasn't an eye poke. So I just want to say that. If you watch it, it's all fist and knuckle. Like, that's not an eye poke. I just wanted to leave that out there. Because some people were saying you should have took a point after that. No, because that wasn't an eye poke. The fight shouldn't even been stopped at that point. First one, maybe. If it was worse on Bilal, the eye poke, I would have understood taking a point. But, I mean, he probably would have won the fight anyways, just with how the refs scored the fight. I thought it was 30-27, Gary. You could maybe give that second round to Bilal. But, dude, look, Bilal's not a bad striker. He was giving Gary some popping shots to the jaw. But he wasn't able to get... Hey, did he land a single takedown? No takedowns. Ian Gary, that 6'3 frame, long, lanky, his ability to move horizontally instead of just straight backward or straight forward is a big deal. Stomping that lead leg, and he was landing on the back leg sometimes. Those calf kicks were nasty. He kind of abandoned them as the fight went on, though, which I did not like. But Bilal at points was giving Ian everything he could handle. But nonetheless, though, it was pretty obvious Ian was just doing more damage, defending the grappling. Bilal wasn't really getting any damage done in the clinch. And Ian, honestly, kind of in some of the offensive grappling positions, too, was getting advantageous positions that you wouldn't expect against a guy like Bilal Muhammad. But Ian's good. I hate to say it. He's a really good freaking fighter. Probably deserves the title shot. Beat the best contender, barring, like, if JDM Islam happened next weekend, Bilal would be the number one ranked guy in the welterweight division. Fighting Carlos Protas on short notice. Went over Jeff Neal, Magny. Has that loss to Shavkat, but that was a while ago, and Shavkat's done nothing and sat on his butt. Beat a guy with a better resume in Bilal Muhammad. He deserves the title shot. He looked really good. He cut him early too with his jab. Cut Bilal right on the cheek. He kind of abandoned that as well, which I didn't like to see either. But he was mixing in those freaking knee stomps, lead leg calf kicks. He performed very high level. I'd like to see him though, or I really wouldn't like to see him, but if I liked him, I'd like to see him work off that jab more and pull more guys, especially like Bilal. Pull them back a little bit, kind of how Prates did with Leon, and land that straight too. Especially when you establish a jab like that, or work that, like he would land a jab and throw a leg kick afterwards, which is great. But I feel like he could have worked his boxing combos a lot better in that fight and done more damage. Because as soon as he would hit Bilal with that jab right in the cheek, his guard would break. And then after that, you can either rip to the body and then come back over the top, or when you're doing that, Ian's fast, man. Come right over that with a 2, or even jab check hook after he's breaking that jab, shovel uppercut, something like that. I think he could have done more damage. It was still a great performance, though, by Ian Gary, and he probably is going to get the title shot next, and I think he deserves it. Blah. Hey, man, I forgot the name Bahamut. I fought 17 now, there for everything, yeah. Gosh dang, that guy's a cringe lord. They both are. Moving on to the main event, dominant performance by Arman Tsarukyan. Let's go, as Dan Hooker says. Or I think that's what he says. What is it? Let's go. Or however they say it. Them Kiwis. Arman Tsarukyan, he's good. He's really good. On the feet, he looked good. And as soon as he got position on the ground, and I know it's Dan Hooker, and he's not the best off his back, but he was threatening with some submissions off his back. Had him in a guillotine at one point. And dude, Arman straight up was just like tornado rolling out of it immediately. He's very flexible and just so calm and composed and dominant on the ground. And he goes to beat you up on the ground too, or submit you. The dude doesn't let off the gas. And that's that's the difference between him and a guy like Islam, which I'm not saying he's better than Islam or he would have beat him or whatever, but like a guy like Tsarukyan's he's dangerous because he has that crazy grappling ability, but he wants to beat you up. A lot of these grapplers like that, they don't necessarily want to beat you up, they just want to control you. But Arman is really good at, once he gets you to the ground, he gets in that half guard position. And as soon as he's there, he flattens out so well and controls the positions there. He's able to work from different angles to find elbows, find big ground and pound shots, or find a head and arm choke like he just did against Dan Hooker. He looked pretty good on the feet too. He mixes in his kicks really well. I think his boxing still needs some work though. And poor Dan Hooker. He deserves better. No, I love Dan Hooker. He gave it his all out there. When he was on the feet, he would look like he's about to get in a little bit of rhythm. Then Arman immediately would get it to the ground. But Arman Ilya is probably next. That's probably next. But guys, let's count it up. 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, 4-0, 5-0, 5-1, 6-1, 6-2, 7-1, 8-1, 9-1, 10-1, 11-1. Oh, wait. Oh, gosh. I just counted so bad. Y'all get the gist, though, dude. I killed it on picks. I have great predictions. I'm always above 500, which ain't that impressive. But, like, I'm probably, like, 75% most of the time right. So, yeah. The last card, 322, threw me off really bad. Nevertheless, though, guys, if you've watched this video all the way through, please like, please subscribe, and please comment on the video. Let me know what you think. What's next for some of these guys. This was a really good card. I give it 8.5 out of 10, especially for a fight night. The only, crazy good finishes, entertaining, but there's only, Topuria Almakhan was kind of high level, even comp. Muhammad Gary was pretty in that range as well. Shamrock, Nurilo Aliev. But it's still, majority of it was outclassing someone for the most part. Crazy good finishes, though. And I ain't complaining about that. I'm just making a point. But But this was like an 8.5 out of 10, especially for a fight night. It was a great card. It was in the Middle East. It was in Qatar with the sheiks and the oil money. Of course it's going to be a great card. But that's it for today's video, guys. I may take the week off with Thanksgiving this week. I got a lot of homework to catch up on. I don't know. I may make a video tomorrow or Wednesday. Drop a comment if you're a big old fan of me, because I have so many fans of seeing old MMA. Drop a comment. If I get one comment, I will make another video for sure. If someone likes this video, I will make a video again this week. Nonetheless, though, guys, if I don't see y'all till then, happy Thanksgiving. And don't forget who to give all the thanks to. Christ is King.